So a few months ago, before season 2, I posted a theories video about One Piece from a live-action only perspective, and of course I had to make part 2 now that I finished watching the second season. Before we begin, I should say that I have read the manga chapters that were adapted in season 1, and I will continue reading the manga after this and read the chapters adapted in season 2. I actually considered making this video after I've done that, but in the end I decided that it would be fun to try and theorize from a fully live-action perspective. If you've seen all of my season 2 reviews, then I should give you a warning that I won't say many new things, and a large portion of this video will be just a compilation of theories that I've already said before, but I hope you will still stick around. Another thing I should share is that I do know a few spoilers. With a story as big as One Piece, it's inevitable. Obviously, I won't touch those topics in this video, so if you feel like I'm ignoring certain topics or certain characters, then it might be because I already have some things confirmed about them. I also want to point out that my theories aren't necessarily about season 3. I'm making general future predictions, and if I think that something happens specifically in Alabasta, then I will specify that I think that this is the case. And lastly, and I think this one should go without saying, don't leave any spoilers in the comments without warning. Be a straw hat, not a wapple. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. All of these theories are in no particular order. Number 1. Luffy will get captured at some point. This was inspired by what happened in Loguetown and how much tension Luffy's absence caused amongst the crew, and that was just a relatively small stumble. I could imagine a scenario in the future where Luffy gets fully captured, whether it's Marines, the pirates, or some other party, and then the Straw Hats have to figure out how to function without their captain and also probably save him. Number 2. After Alabasta, Luffy's bounty will increase. And yes, with this one I'm specifying that I think it will happen at the end of season 3. I made a similar prediction in my previous theories video, but it was about how I think that Luffy's bounty will gradually increase in general. This time I want to add the specifics of when I think that happens. And if I had to make a guess on his new bounty, then I'd say it would be around 80 million. I'm shooting blindly here, but I feel like my random guesses usually end up more accurate than the theories that I construct with care and actual arguments. Number 3. It pains me to say this, but Chopper might be drowning at some point. He will be saved, obviously, but still. He is another Devil Fruit user, just like Luffy, and while I think that I forgot to mention that in all of my other videos, but ever since we were told that, I've been worried that Chopper, just like Luffy, might have to fight not only the enemies, but also the sea itself. Number 4. Luffy is absolutely not Gold D. Rogers' son. Like, it's not even a theory, it's just a fact. I've been quite passionate about this topic throughout season 2, so if you're curious, you can check out my episode 1 review where I gave multiple reasons why there's zero chance that Luffy is related to Gold D. Roger. Number 5. Robin will betray Crocodile. That's another prediction that I'm making specifically about season 3. I was, and still am, very confused about Robin's agenda, but I feel like if she sees that the Straw Hats just might defeat Crocodile, she will turn on him. If that happens, I don't think it will be an open betrayal, but I believe she might do something small that ends up tripping up Crocodile. Number 6. While I'm on the topic of Crocodile, let's discuss his powers. I couldn't settle on a single guess, so I'll just leave two. The first one is that his powers are water related, and the second one is that it's literally just death touch. Either way, as one of the warlords, he must be crazy powerful. Number 7. The gods in One Piece are actual physical beings and not just a religion. In Little Garden, we learned about a sun god Nika, and given how crazy the One Piece universe is, it wouldn't surprise me at all if gods become actual characters. Number 8. The Straw Hats will get blamed for kidnapping Vivi. We were told that as far as the public and the Marines know, Vivi is presumably kidnapped, so I think that our crew might get blamed for that before she can clear this misunderstanding. Number 9. Eternal pose isn't the only variation of a log pose. I think there might be an even more developed version of a log pose that allows you to see all available options instead of locking in on a single island. Number 10. In Season 3, we will see Mihawk in person, not just as an illusion or a flashback. Crocodile opens the door for other warlords to get involved in this conflict, so I believe Mihawk will show up in person next season. Number 11. Speaking of warlords, I think they will not support Crocodile. I am mostly basing this on Mihawk and his demeanor back in Season 1. He clearly didn't care about the orders of the Marines, and I don't see him supporting a fellow warlord either, so if other warlords are anything like him, then I think that Crocodile is on his own here. Number 12. Dragon is Luffy's father. This one is a funny one. I keep going back and forth between thinking that it's a good theory and that it's total nonsense. My main arguments are that Dragon spoke about Luffy like there's some sort of familiarity. Another thing is that the shot really focused on Garp's reaction to hearing Dragon's name. And lastly, I think it would be fun to have 3 different generations when one of them is a Marine working for the world government, another one is the leader of the revolutionary army that's opposing the world government, and the third one is just a criminal, which is how pirates are seen by most people. Number 13. In Season 3, someone else wears Luffy's straw hat. In Season 1 it was Nami, in Season 2 for a brief moment it was Robin, so I think that in Season 3 someone will once again wear that hat, and if I had to name the most likely candidate, then I think it would be Vivi. Number 14. Season 3 will introduce Commander-in-Chief Kong. His name is on the maps in the end credits, and in Season 2 we also saw a book written by him. And given that Alabasta sounds like a huge international conflict, I think that Kong could finally be introduced in person. Number 15. What's up with Chopper's gold spheres? I know that the manga reveals that during the drum arc, so I wanted to make a guess before reading it. I'm not even joking, but this was the most difficult theory to come up with. After episode 8, I said that it could be anything from candy to drugs to explosives, and it wouldn't surprise me. I also thought that since we already saw 3 different forms of Chopper, then maybe he has a 4th one, and those gold things help him access that. However, the thing that trips me up the most is how happy Chopper looked when he found that jar, like it's something more personal. So eventually I settled on my final guess that's on the middle ground, that this is just like coffee, but better. It's like candies that give Chopper insane amount of energy and make him hyperactive. This is literally the best I can do. Trust me, I tried. Number 16. Smokers' powers are fueled by smoking. This started off as a joke, but the more I think about it, the more I believe that it might be true. I seriously think that the next time Luffy fights Smoker, he should try taking away his cigars just to see what happens. Number 17. Another Smoker-related theory is that we will see him use his Sea Stone weapon on Luffy before any other Devil Fruit user. I feel like the fact that he still hasn't used that weapon means that when he finally does it on screen for the first time, it has to be an important scene, which means that it should be against a well-established character instead of some random new Devil Fruit user. Number 18. This one's very silly, but I believe that in Season 3, Karoo will directly disrespect a major villain. From what I gathered, Karoo should be a part of the next season and his name wasn't just mentioned for nothing, and I think it would be on brand for One Piece to see a giant duck bite the big scary villain or something like that. Number 19. Tashigi and Smoker will have a conflict. To be more specific, I believe that Tashigi will change her mind about Zoro being unworthy of his sword, which will lead her to going against Smoker and, for example, letting Zoro escape. Even if this specific scenario doesn't happen, I believe Season 2 still set up at least some kind of major disagreement between these two. For example, I'm still focused on the fact that Tashigi didn't tell Smoker that she was approached by Robin, so I feel like at some point she has to do something that goes directly against Smoker's values. Number 20. Eternal Pose will be given as a goodbye gift. One of the first ideas that I had after learning of Eternal Poses was that it would be a very sentimental goodbye gift. It's the whole idea that no matter where or how far you go, you can always find your way back to that place. And it doesn't have to be Alabasta, but I could imagine the Straw Hats receiving a gift like that at some point. Number 21. Dragon has a wind devil fruit and also another separate power. Dragon could touch Smoker and he did it with his bare hand and not some kind of sea stone glove or whatever. But we saw that his power, which is probably a devil fruit power, is wind. So it leads me to believe that the reason why he could touch Smoker is because he has some other ability that's not a devil fruit. Number 22. Luffy will have a serious fight with Usopp at some point. I feel like I've been saying that since East Blue, but it would be fun, painful but fun, to see a serious disagreement between Luffy and another Straw Hat. And I feel like episode 4 of season 2 had this very interesting framing that may have foreshadowed that Luffy and Usopp will fight at some point. Maybe Usopp might even leave the Straw Hats for a while before returning. I just think a conflict like that works in any story, when you have a group of characters and then one of them temporarily leaves to do their own thing. And that's all I have. I really wanted to address Operation Utopia and what could Alabasta possibly have that, according to Crocodile, could help with finding the One Piece, but even after a week of thinking, my mind is still blank. I also have a bunch of mini theories, but I think I'll use those in a bingo card before season 3. I wanted to do one for season 2 as well, but I just forgot. I think it's pretty fun to play these games with the shows. I'm also monumentally bad with making bingo cards, but I hope One Piece can break my curse. I don't have 25 points yet, but since it's literally just for a game, you can make a bingo card in minutes right before the show, so I'll do that if I don't forget again. But that's enough yapping from me. Thank you for your time. Please share your spoiler-free thoughts in the comments, subscribe if you're interested, and I hope to see you again in the future.